Hello, everyone. This is OG. Today we have Paul from Optic. Again, hi, Paul.
Hey, LG, how are you doing?
Doing great. And we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic around AI, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's quite an interesting, evolving space, and yeah, interesting to see where this conversation takes us today.
Great. So let's jump right into it, right? So one of the things that is to me almost funny, but I would say expected, is the fact that overnight, when you go on LinkedIn, you find millions and millions of people are now AI expert with 25 years of experience, right? So this idea of everyone is becoming an expert, everyone is updating their profile, is actually generating some difficulties with the company when trying to hire real expert, right?
Yeah, do you mean absolutely? I sort of look back in a very joking manner that I consider myself to be an AI expert because I actually studied AI as part of my degree at university, which was back in 1994. But I think the challenges that we've got today mimic. You and I hate to tell you this, Olivia, but you and I are old enough that we remember multiple booms in the tech industry, the dot-com boom, the server consolidation boom. And I think AI is really just mimicking what happened in each of those phases of IT while I've been working.
Yeah, indeed. I think the only difference is the size of that bubble because it's not just the technical people now claiming to be AI expert, but it's also pretty much everyone else, given the fact that AI is really touching every jobs, impacting every departments. You start seeing pretty much everyone starting to talk about AI as if they were technical, and they are not, or at least not all of them. And those that have a bit of technical background are claiming they've been doing it forever, right? So I think the point we are trying to make here is, again, it is expected that everyone is surfing the wave. It is expected that everyone is, I even see some job posting where, the hiring manager is expecting someone with 20 years experience in AI, right? Which is I think the point here is we are trying to help people realize that it is actually quite difficult to find real experts, people who have experience in whether it is Gen AI or any other aspect of AI, someone that have been involved and working on projects, right?
Yeah, and what I'm seeing in the market, organizations, they're paying a huge premium for those staff. So they're paying, 30, 40, 50% premium compared to what they would have done a few years ago. I think the other challenge that we're seeing is, there's an awful lot of people in the market that are getting jobs that maybe have worked on one project or two projects. So for me, yeah, they have some limited experience, but they are not experienced. And I think this is the challenge that organizations have today. It's the same in data. It's definitely, absolutely the case in AI. Huge demand. Some roles been filled with people with the right and very, very extensive experience, but many roles been filled with people that have got limited, practically no experience. And it's all coming from the hype. There's huge demand due to the hype, and there's pressure on IT development teams from the business because they're looking for the AI multipliers. They're looking to say, hey, we do AI, which adds value onto their business and which gives them some hopefully differentiation. But for me, the big issue, well, there's multiple issues. You're paying too much quite often for low quality resource, but a lot of organizations don't actually know what resources they need as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's almost like the perfect storm for a lot of organizations when they are hiring data and AI guys.
Yeah. 100%, right? So with all this market pushing pretty much everyone to hire AI resources at the same time, whether you are frankly leading or just trying to catch up in your industry. Pretty much everyone is looking at building teams. Whether, by the way, whether you're just doing a POC or whether you already are, full speed into it, you have to assemble a team. And as you are saying, right? Understanding what the right resource is, understanding what the right level of experience is extremely difficult. And then, as you said, once you find them, sometimes they are crazy expensive, right? So we are not in the, I remember, maybe a couple of years ago when people were saying you paying $1 million for a prompt engineer, right? So we are way past that. But still, as you said, huge premium, and you are never sure that you're gonna be getting a resource that is actually really able to do what they are claiming, they are able to, right? So that's really a challenge here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, it's finding the right resource at the right price, and then many organizations are looking internationally. How can they, I mean, deliver this capability from lower cost resources, and that then presents its own unique challenges as well. So, I mean, if we look at those lenses, really, so I mean, finding the right resource. First of all, do you know what resource you need? And that, for me, isn't always that clearly defined. And then they need to find available resource at the quality that they need, and that in its own right isn't easy at all. I don't know what you giving your perspective on that.
Yes, and I would say that if we start, introducing concept of location, uh, it's even more difficult for companies that are really looking for the right resource to accept the idea of using resources that are going to be remote, right? Because this is yet another potential concern, because you might have some difficulty with some on-site resources, but you pretty much are going to assume that the amount of trouble you're going to get if you are working with remote resources is going to be 10x, right? Which is obviously, and we're going to talk about that, which is obviously not always the case, right? So I think this is important to understand that above and beyond finding the right resource at the right cost, it's also important to understand that you have multiple options in terms of how you want to source your people, and many companies are still very concerned slash afraid of going outside their country to go look for the right resource. And I think this is something that we consider because we have the experience and we've been working with resources around the world for a long time, that this is obviously something to investigate, right, Paul?
Yeah, I think. I mean, if you look at the traditional models for this, I mean, onshore is always a lot of people's preference, right? But we're seeing, particularly in AI, how competitive it is. It's frighteningly competitive. It is an employees market rather than an employers market. So, I mean, what did people used to do? They used to look at nearshore, right? We used to look at. I mean, if you're in Europe, you looked at Eastern European countries, the Balkan states. If you're in the US market, you looked at South America. I mean, um, and for me, I mean, as more and more of these countries are aligning with the EU market, if I'm looking at the European resource, it's cost parity with the UK and with the Netherlands and with other regions. So there's very little, if any, savings nearshoring in a lot of these markets, particularly around AI. I mean, the US market is terrifyingly expensive. You're looking 2, 3x what we'd pay in Europe. And that's dictated there for the cost of their nearshoring. So if I look at South American resource, I've seen examples where it's more expensive to get South American resource than it is to get onshore EU resource. So yeah, finding that resource, I mean, finding an available resource at the right cost onshore is really, really challenging for a lot of organizations when they're looking at AI resources in the minute. So we are seeing people now looking at offshore, but you've then got the associated challenges that you've always had with offshoring. You mean particularly if you're looking at the Asian market, how do we know that we've got the right quality? But also, how do we manage those people locally? Because for me, you've got two levels of management. You've got the technical management, but you've got more of the HR management, making sure that these people are there, they're doing the right things, they've got the right access.
Yeah.
I mean, which is very, very different than the managing backlog.
Yeah. And while for very large company, people are used to work, with remote teams. When you go into small and medium-sized company, as you said, right? People are afraid if I don't see the guy next to me, if I cannot see the guy on his desk, you know, uh, I'm concerned that the guy will not do anything, right? And the logic here for me is very simple. If you are in London and you're hiring a guy in Manchester, for example, okay, and the guy is working from home, what's the difference versus having a guy located, in Asia? It's the same. The guy is going to be remote, and you're going to have the same challenge, right? So very often people are concerned that, really far away, uh, you're gonna not see, not control, not manage, and basically having issues with outcome and quality, right? But frankly, whether your resource is located 1 hour away from you, or 5 hours plane from you, when they work from home, they work from home, right? So again, I understand that this is a challenge. People are concerned, but when you have the experience and when you have the local support available, the local, let's call it management layer available to ensure that the resources are being managed correctly from a people and an HR standpoint, then you end up having all the benefit of a qualified resource that is available to you and that is able to work on your project under your direction, right?
Yeah, absolutely.